What's up, world? You already know who it is. It's your favorite director, Maurice Paramore. We back with another episode of Direct Your Success. When you are in charge of your own destiny, all you got to do is get up and go get it. Super excited today because I got a brother with me, artist, producer, actor now, man. Brother doing his thing, man. I'm proud of you, and I want to welcome my brother to the show, 101 The Great. How's it going, man?
What's going on, bro? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We in the building, man. It's been a long time coming. You know, we always have great conversations. I felt it was only right to actually get on a podcast and talk on camera and on a mic because we just always have really good conversations as brothers, as businessmen, as artists, and all this stuff like that. And a lot of times, people like myself, I don't have a lot of people to kind of talk that talk with when it comes to music, filmmaking, artistry, and all of that stuff because everybody don't do that, you know. There's a lot more people that work 9 to 5s than people that are creating their own art, have side hustles and stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot more people now, but not in general. So I appreciate our conversation. So how's you doing, man? How's the year going so far? How's the week going?
Good so far. So far, the year's going good. You know what I'm saying? I hit a little rough stumble the last couple of weeks for automotive purposes, but
it's life. Life
you know
gonna
what I'm
hit
saying?
you, man.
Like, I gotta let one of my people hold the car because they in town and they ain't got no transportation.
Right.
And then my joint's down. My joint started messing up, and my mechanic wasn't reliable. So I ain't been able to move around like I want and get to the studio the way I want to. But I pulled up to you today on the bike when it's cold out because you're my man, you know what I'm saying? So I pulled the bike out, froze a little bit for the ride over, but it's all good.
I appreciate that. I didn't even know, man. I would have picked you up. You know what I'm saying? We don't live far at all. But I thought, because I ain't even been out, today. So I was like, all right, well, he on a bike, then it must be decent. You know what I mean? I would have scooped you up, but I appreciate, you coming through.
Yeah, I ain't wanna like, have you come over and get me, and so I walked out, I was like, it's not that bad out. I pulled off the block. I was like, shit, my face is cold. I should have put that mask on. But I ain't had too far to go, so it wasn't a big deal.
You don't know until that wind hitting you.
Yeah.
You actually going against that grain. You're like, oh, no, this is really hitting.
It's different.
So, man, talk about it, man. When I first met you, I met you through doing music. And did some video work for you and stuff like that.
Yeah. You recorded my first performance.
Yeah, you was doing shows. Yeah, that was super dope. So, like, how long you been doing music? How did you get into music?
So, I've been a music all my life. That's my first love, right? And I would always do freestyles and stuff. I was the type of nigga that's like, I can rap when I'm in the mood, and I would freestyle. Everything would be at the top of my head. If I wasn't in the mood, though, I couldn't write. Couldn't come up with nothing. So did that shit when I was younger. So then when I graduated and I was going to community college, ended up running into this dude I used to be real tight with in 7th grade. He rhymed. And this nigga could just bam, bam, bam. Right? And I was like, he was like, yo, what you got? What you got? And I had to be in the mood. So when I was in the mood, I could do it. When I wasn't, I couldn't. Reason why is because this nigga wrote all the time. So he had joints memorized and everything.
Ready to go.
He got me started writing. He got me taking it more seriously.
Okay.
So now, going to community college became going there, meeting up with him, dipping out of class, going and sitting at a diner and writing rhymes for hours. You know what I'm saying? Just coming up with rhymes. I still got those books, just writing. And then that came to, okay, now I want to record it. And then finding the studios, going to recording. He's taking me to open mics. I wasn't that nice. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, this nigga getting up and killing it. I'm like doing joints. You know what I'm saying? I'm just spitting. And I listened to hella West Coast at the time. So everything sounded West Coast, a lot of cussing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that whole process. And then along the way, like I started getting away from the pen. And the reason that started happening was first, I would have all these little sheets of paper, like little notebooks, and I think of a line, write 2 lines down, and then a couple lines here, a couple lines there, a couple bars, 4 bars, 8. So then I would go back to this book later, and I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Like, I don't know where this was going, and I got all these little random bars.
That don't go to nothing.
I actually want to revisit them now, though, and kind of put them together, see if I could do something. But at the time, I couldn't put them together. So I started coming up with a policy of, all right, I'm not going to start writing until I got a good 4 bars. Because I know if I got 4, I can make 8. Then that changed to 6 to 8. and then I wouldn't start writing something down until I had a good 8.
Okay.
And then I could always come back and finish. And then that's how I just started changing that and just having more complete rhymes.
Okay.
So then, me being competitive, me wanting to be great, I hear the greats don't write. Biggie don't write. Jay don't write. They just keep it all in their head. So I'm like, I got to get to that. So I started working on that. We go out to L.A. Big Pac fan. I always think Pac wrote. So we in the studio. My man that I used to work with, I used to work out of his studio. He was doing some joints for Lil Zane.
Okay.
So we in the studio with them. And the engineer used to engineer Death Row.
Okay.
So we sitting in there talking, boom, 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 boom. I'm not that confident with my rhymes at the time, right? So boom, we sitting in there, boom. I'm coming up with shit. Niggas is big on me. I'm coming up with the melodies.
Killing
Niggas had me in the booth doing the shit because they couldn't catch it like that. Like, yo, you just go in there and do it. Boom. Because I was like, everybody else would leave, and I just be in the studio with Zane, his homie, and the engineer, and we just coming up with shit, right? Smoking and coming up with shit. So, and crazy, because Cali was the first time I saw weed delivered, which changed things for me on another level. But we'll talk about that later. But, you know, like, you would call up and a nigga would come through and deliver weed to you. Like, I never seen that before, because out here it's like you just go to your weed man and shit at the time. Then it's like, yo, they like, no, I'm like, where we got to go? Oh, it's coming. Nigga comes there with bags. Boom, what you want? I got this,
So
and that.
they had a DoorDash man before.
Yeah, they had DoorDash man for weed before. Yeah. So getting back. So now we talking one night, me and the engineer. So that's when he telling me engineer Death Row and all that. We talk about not writing, and I'm talking about how I'm trying to get away from the pen and all that. And I was like, yeah, but Pac wrote. He was like, Pac ain't right. I was like, huh? He's like, Pac would have like 2 lines. He'd get up on the mic, and he would say it, and then just run through it. And then that would be the whole song. I was like, what? I said, I'm never writing again. That's when I said, the only time I'm going to write is when I got to write it down for somebody.
Yeah.
And at that point, I made that decision. The next day, we out there before the studio, he's listening to my music, and he's like, yo, Chris, don't let anybody ever tell you can't rap. That changed my confidence level. Because I'm not, this is material I don't think is that good.
Right.
He's like, yo, you can rap. Don't let anybody ever tell you can't rap. And that just did something for me. So I came back and then just started like changing everything. Like I was around more East Coast cats then. So like my flow was becoming more how it should sound out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Less West Coast sounding. You know, cursing. Right. I was changing up, not cursing so much. And then I just started the same way I was talking about how I wouldn't write unless I had a certain amount of bars. I started doing the same thing, but this time just remembering the rhymes in my head and keeping them in my head. And then I just got away from writing. And then it got to the point where I wouldn't want to forget them, so I had a voice recorder. Okay. Then that fucked up on me and I lost some rhymes. I used to call my phone and leave it on a voice message. I still got some of those. I got a dead phone that I got to get back started.
Just for recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an old phone. I used to have this voice recording program. For me, because I've always been a writer. I've never been a guy that can kind of like really create raps like off the top of my head. Hooks, I can do that easy. Whole verses, 16s, no. I could do 2 or 3 bars, maybe 4. But me, I've always been a writer. And it's gotten so bad that if it's not written down, forget even being written down now, I have to have it recorded, even if it's just on a voice recorder, because I'll lose the flow, I'll lose the cadences. I'm bad at that. So when I come up with something, it's got to be documented ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny that you say that though, because that's the other thing that I would have with writing. I would lose the cadence from the writing. So I would have if I ever showed you these books, it would say a notation like, yo, I wrote it to this beat. Because that way I know, like, I could go back and listen to that beat and catch the flow.
Yeah, that's a big thing too.
You know what I mean? But once I got away from writing, now I don't have that problem no more. I eliminated 2 problems at once. One, the cadence problem. Because now I know it because I'm saying it all the time.
Yeah, that's a big
2,
thing.
the memorization.
Okay.
I got the rhyme in my head, so now I don't have to worry about reading this paper and sounding like I'm reading a paper. I'm only focused on delivering. So it's like when we was on set the other day, you said something like, yo, to somebody. You was like, yo, if you know the fucking the words,
Material, yeah.
you can just focus on the character and not the words.
Yeah.
If you don't know the words, you're focused on the
Just
words.
remember the words.
It's the same thing with music. When you're reading on that paper, some people can do it, but when you're reading on that paper, a lot of times you're focused on, for me, the words. You're not really focused on delivering the words.
Right.
And once you have it in your mind, you're not thinking about the words no more because you know them. You're just focused on delivering the words.
Right.
So now you get your best recording.
Best work from there.
You know what I'm saying? So that's that. You know what I mean?
That's interesting, but before we move on, I really want to talk about the confidence thing. When you talked about how once somebody let you know that your confidence was, let you know that you was good, like you was good at what you do, you was great, your confidence shot. I want to talk about that because I realize how important that aspect is. You know what I'm saying? I think the entertainment industry in general is super hard, whether it's music, whether it's film, whatever the case may is, it's just very hard and it's all subjective, right? So what's great is really in the eyes of the beholder. But I realize that if you don't believe in your own work, if you're not confident, it's going to be hard to knock down those walls. It's going to be very hard to really like excel in this industry without confidence. So further speak on what that confidence did to you, but also what do you do to stay confident in your work on a daily when the industry is always changing, the audience, they're liking and what they want changes. How do you say, you know what? And when you drop a song or you drop a movie and it didn't hit the way you wanted to, how do you keep your confidence up to be able to, keep pushing in an industry that's very hard?
So for me, it's this. So confidence for me then was because I was just starting out with the shit, right? I knew how I sounded, and I'm really critical, and I have an ability to separate myself from my material. Not everybody can do that. Some people, like a lot of people, they write some shit, whatever they do, and they're their biggest fan. Everything they write, they think is great. Me, and they can't separate themselves from their material. Me, I can make something, and then when I go back and listen to it, I'm not listening to it like that's my music. I'm listening to it like, who's this nigga?
Right.
How do I like it? So I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't good to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm my own worst critic because I'm like, yo, this ain't good to me. I don't like this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when somebody else is liking it, like I was kind of getting there at that point, but he's like, yo, and him being where he, who he had been around, I'm like, I might be on to something. Because sometimes you can be your own worst enemy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I really didn't think, I still don't think that shit was that good. You know what I'm saying? It was all right. I could go back and redo some of that shit. But, it's when you're starting off like that and you have that kind of reality with yourself,
right,
you can have an issue with confidence. And, because like, yo, you can do better. So you're always looking for better. The difference now is I know I'm good. Like now I say I'm a genius a lot, right? And because for a while, like a couple of my homies that was around me, they like, yo, and these is dudes that don't pull no punches. Like if it's whack, it's whack. These ain't no yes men, right? Like my homie Fifth. Like, yo, he'll tell me in a minute, nah, they ain't in it, man. Go back, do it again. You know what I'm saying? So he been like telling me now for a little while, like, yo, you a genius. I'm like, nah, you a genius, right? So now a couple other people was telling me that shit.
Right.
And I'm like, ah. And one day I sat back and I listened to this shit that I was doing and I started looking at everything that I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I write rhymes. I come up with rhymes. I could make any kind of music. Any kind of beat I can make. I can write any kind of song. I don't care if it's country, R&B, whatever, rock. I'll sit down and we can get busy. You know what I'm saying? I can act. I could come up with characters.
Right.
I started writing a script fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? I started like, you got me acting in front of the camera.
Right.
And I'm looking at everything I do, and it's not just everything that I'm doing, it's also the ability to separate myself from myself and my work, and also being able to step back and see how everybody else is reacting to the shit. And you could tell when it's genuine or when somebody's just kissing your ass. I don't have a lot of people that's kissing my ass. And then the best thing is when you got new people that don't really know you, they don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I always would do, and I still do, is I'll do something blind where I'll be like, yo, listen to this. What you think of that? Don't tell nobody it's mine and get an honest reaction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I see how people are reacting, and every time I play something or do something, I'm always looking around the room and seeing how everybody's looking at that shit like, yo.
Right.
And seeing their faces and their reactions. So when I see that, I'm like, yeah, you know what?
This is dope.
I am on to something, and I can do a lot, and I see the way people react. I'm like, yo, I am a fucking genius. Because not everybody can fucking, and it's a humble brag. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but it's like, how many people can do all of those hats and do them at a high level?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? And fast.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. I think that's one of the things that I love about the internet, Instagram and stuff like that. Now that I have a lot of projects on, Tubi, Peacock and stuff like that, now you're searchable, right? You out there, you're in this internet space. So I would have a lot of people, DM me, reach out, emails. Yo, I seen your work on such and such. I seen this film on this, and yo, I loved it. Yo, can I get in the next joint? Can I audition for you? All of these things. And you talked about the honesty of strangers. The people that been reaching out to me, they're strangers. You know what I'm saying? So they don't owe me nothing.
Right.
They sought out. They look for me. You know what I mean? And they like, yo, I love this film. I like this joint. I like the way it was shot, X, Y, Z. And that's always a beautiful feeling because it's not, your family, which is no knock to them, you know what I'm saying? Because some of it is genuine, but it's like your family, they're gonna show love regardless, right? Your close friends are gonna show love regardless. But you have certain friends that's gonna pull you to the side and say, nah, that wasn't really it. Or you know what? You got them with this one. I have certain friends that I trust for that. I go to, sometimes you just need the love, you need the battery in your pack. But when you need that honest opinion, you're gonna go to XYZ. I have friends for that. But when it's strangers, they really don't owe you nothing, and for them to go seek you out, what's the benefit of them telling you that you that guy or this is dope? They don't even know you from a can of paint.
Right.
And a lot of times I ask people, yo, how did you find this? Like, how did you find me? Like, what was your honest thought compared to XYZ? And it's really just for the landscape to understand, like, where do you fit in with the whole industry, right? This is out there right now. Where do I fit in with what's going on and stuff like that? And I say that because it's a fine line too. A lot of times we're getting judged and on just that, right? What's out there. You getting judged compared to what's out there, right? But sometimes when it comes to confidence, you got to know when, okay, this is not what the audience is seeking right now, but I know it's the wave. I know it's coming and I know it's good, right? I have this saying where I feel like I say it, I'm ahead of my time, but I'm years behind. And I say that because a lot of the things that I was on a long time ago, people are on now. But I'm behind because I didn't put it out in time. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of the projects that I have, characters and stuff like that, when I had, a lot of these, I got this character named Keisha in a Recession, a woman gangster, running the street crew and stuff like that. Like, when I did that, it wasn't no other characters out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, Dominant doesn't, right? I did it at the right time, but I probably could have did at least 3-4 years prior to that, and I'd have been good. But I had this character written, years ago. Same thing with The Devil in Red Wine. I want to talk about certain things on that, but you kind of gotta know when to stick to the script and say, you know what? Okay, y'all might not be on this yet, but this is gonna be the wave. Like, how do you know when to stick to your guns and kind of go with what's going on?
So I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said and finish answering your previous question because they all kind of go together. And I have a problem with rambling on sometimes and like exploring my thought a little bit more. Right. But to finish what I was saying and to answer your questions, so I had the same thing where years ago when VR first came out, my cousin lets me see his. I'm looking at this shit, and I said, "Yo, it'd be dope to fucking do a show, a concert, and have everybody be able to tap in on their VR set and watch the shit. So you could sell tickets to the concert and people are still going to come to the show live, but then you could also sell it virtually and people could just throw in their VR set and then and watch you perform, and it's like they're right there, and you would never know. Boom. Fast forward to now, I seen Doja Cat's doing something,
like
her
that.
concert with VR,
Okay.
and we're talking when it first came out. So when you have those thoughts, and then it's like, damn, I'm not in a position to do that. I got to get in a position to do that. But then when you see it happen, yeah, it sucks because it's like, damn, I was already on that shit then, and I could have $1 million idea. But it's also like, yo, I'm on to something. I know I'm meant to do this shit. Also, separating yourself. I know, like, I listen to everything else. I listen to everything else that's out there, and it's like, yo, I don't sound like I'm from the hip hop. I don't sound like that. You know what I mean? I still can compete. You know what I'm saying? So when it's like, yo, I could still compete with these motherfuckers. I'm just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
So like when you know that, when you could separate and listen to yourself and you know that, that keeps you going. Okay. When you put something out and it doesn't hit the way you want it to, that comes from understanding the way the game works. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't look at all the comments because you know, like because you know, there's always that voice in the back of your head. When you see that comment on that thread, you're gonna focus in on that. It's gonna fuck with you. I don't care who you are. Everybody happens to everybody. I don't care who you listen to, right? But when you are looking at those strangers that's telling you the good shit, you know what I mean? And it's like when you're doing shit and you understand how the game works. You understand that the reason your shit didn't hit is not because it's not hot. It's because there's more shit to putting out a record. Right. There's more shit to putting out a movie. It takes one key thing, money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You think a record company or a movie company spends millions and millions of dollars to push a project if they could do it for free?
Right.
They're not going to do it. You think that they don't have the people in place to make that happen when it's like, oh, I'm Sony. Come fucking work for Sony and do this, put this shit out here. I'm gonna let you put this out for free and I'm gonna, could you tickets to a show. You think people aren't gonna line to do that? Right. If it's that fucking easy? No, they're spending money because they have to spend money to make it hit. Even somebody who goes viral, unless you're like a cute little kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you just sat there all day on them algorithms, and for the most part, a lot of those people, when you actually hear them after they made it, you find out that they spent money at some point to get their shit to go.
Oh, you definitely got to do that.
You know what I'm saying? So when you know that, it's like, oh, my shit didn't hit because it was whack. It didn't hit because I ain't got the fucking money that nigga has.
Yeah.
But once you figure out, like, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I get to that point? How did they get there? How did they get there? What did they have? What did they do? Then it's like, oh, okay, that's why. This is what I got to do. This is how I got to move. It's figuring out how you got to move. You also got to understand, like, there's an audience for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, there's these two guys, Pete and Bass, out of the UK. Okay. My man Don put me on to them. They like 70-year-old dudes. And these motherfuckers is rapping.
I love it.
And they're doing drill rap because that's started over there and shit, right? And they killing it. And you be like, yo, over here, everybody, they got that shit, right? Over there, you look at their show, all young ass kids. These niggas is talking about stashing drugs and their grandson's Xbox. And they got people coming there going crazy to see them do what they do. They doing videos where they driving around in fucking the little scooter shits that the old people be in. I can't think of the name of them joints right now. The little jazzies and all that shit. They knocking each other off on them joints. Like, and they whole crew, like, they might have a couple young dudes, but you see, like, it'll be like those two, and then they feature another older dude that's right in their age bracket. That's they feature and shit. And it's like, you just got to find your audience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's all the people in the world, you just got to find your audience. And then once you find your audience, you feed your audience. And then your audience grows, your fan base grows, and then you to a point where you at. I always say, like, people be like, oh, you ain't dropped that project yet. You got this I got a project in the tuck right now, been done for a minute. You ain't drop it yet. When you gonna drop it? I'm like, yo, I'm tired of being a tree in the woods with nobody around. I drop songs. I got songs out there now.
Yeah.
But they ain't doing nothing yet.
Right.
So it's like, what I'm gonna do? Drop another project for nobody to hear? I'm trying to get the people around so that when I drop, now I'm a tree in the woods with people around.
And that goes back to the confidence thing. It goes back to sticking to your guns, right? Because you got to know that, like, all right, there is an audience for this. I know there's an audience for this, right? Because if you have 2 or 3 people that's into what you got, then you can have 100, you can have 1,000, you can have 1,000,000 people. You know what I'm saying? But you got to have enough thick skin to say, you know what, I'm gonna stick this out. I'm gonna ride this out because I know it's gonna hit the way it's supposed to hit when it's time to hit. Like, what's your view on art versus commerce, right? Because I think when you start getting into the arts, first we're artists. We start as artists, right? Unless you Birdman, you know what I'm saying? You're a businessman now. You want to start rapping and puff people like that. But like when you are the artist, 9 times out of 10, we focus on the art, right? How to make the art good, how to make the music great, how to make the films great. But then it's another part of it, right? The business side, the music business, the film business. What is your take? Like, when do you focus on the artistry versus when I need to focus on the business? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the best project is not going to do the best business, and sometimes you might be the things that do the best from the business standpoint, from a commerce standpoint, isn't the best art, right? So how do you like blend the two? How do you like focus on one or the other, and when should you focus on one or the other?
So for me, it's like this. It goes back to something else we were saying about how you realize like you had a thought and you've been on some shit before everybody else, right? Before, there's a clip going around of Ruben now talking about creating art for yourself, right? I've been on that. Been on that years ago. I stopped going into the studio making this kind of record, that kind of record. I started making music that I want to hear.
Right.
Because I know other people want to hear people like what I like, right? So if other people want to hear what I want to hear, that's how I find my audience. I make what I like. I want to listen to my shit. If I don't want to listen to my shit, why should I expect anybody else? It's just like I tell everybody, if you can't stand to be alone with yourself, how the fuck you expect anybody else to want to kick it with you?
Right.
Same thing with your art. If you can't stand to look at your own or listen to your own, how you expect anybody else? If you don't like it, why would anybody else? So first, you got to make music for you. Fuck everybody else. Make it so you like it. Make the music you want to hear. Because if you want to hear it, somebody else is going to want to hear it. Make the movies you want to see. Because if you want to see it, somebody else does. Right. There's 1,000 people sitting there, 1,000,000 people saying the same thing that you're saying. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you make that. Now you just have to have the discipline to wade through the storm of, hey, this is what's hitting right now, this isn't. So you got to keep wading through that storm of finding your audience, but you got to stay focused to that. As far as the business goes, as long as you do that and keep it true, you're going to be all right. Now, the business part of it, that comes down to you got to educate yourself on your business, especially if you're independent and you're doing it on your own. You ain't got no company behind you, you got to know that shit. And even if you do have a company behind you, you still got to know it so you don't get fucked. Right. The time to focus on it, I think, is probably before you start making the project, before you start doing what you're doing. Because as a creative, yes, we always creative, right? I'm creating all the time. I was up till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning last 2 nights making beats.
Just getting busy.
Right? So I'm always creating. But I've already thought about the business plan before I started doing that, right? Maybe like a year, 2 years ago now, I changed the way everything was. I had a studio that was just for me to record. I started trying to put together a team, bringing people around. My man been telling me like, yo, you gotta start recording people out here. I don't want to do that. I don't want to listen to everybody. I figured out how to block everybody out. Right. As far as like when you don't like listening to somebody's shit because they whack, but you got to get through it, right? So now I'm like, okay, I could do this. I didn't know there was this business for studios still, because a lot of people start doing their own thing on their home. I'm sitting at Don's studio, I'm seeing the way all these calls is coming through. This nigga's booked up, and niggas is still looking, going to the wrong joints because they got the address wrong or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Looked up the wrong info. Right. So I'm like, oh, there is a business for this. So then I say, yo, I try to have all these people around me that do shit because I just wanted to be an artist. You got that burning thing, you need to do this, you need to do that inside your head. Boom. So sit back. Everybody had keys. Nobody was coming through to do nothing. I don't open up the door to them. They don't want to do. All right, equipment. Come learn how to work this beat machine. Come do this. Come do that. Nobody wanted to do it, but I want to do all this shit. So once they fuck shit up, you know what I'm saying? Got everybody out of there, changed the locks, and I said, yo, I'm doing this myself. This is what I love to do. The first step I got to do is figure out how to be in the studio all day. Right. And the way to do that is make money out of it. How I figure that out. How I'm going to do that. Boom. What do I love to do? I love to do this, this, and that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm an engineer. I'm going to make beats, and I'm going to start selling that because I could work with artists. You know, I want to do the radio station, join all that, but it's like it's got to start somewhere because it all takes money.
Right.
I can create something that can make money. So you sit down and you think about how you're going to do that. You come up with your business plan.
Facts.
Right? Now, once you come up with that, because before I didn't have no plan, so I'm just creating stuff, putting stuff out, trying it, losing a lot of money, promoting stuff, and it's like, this shit needs to, instead of keep putting my money in, this shit needs to make money. How can I make money out of it? So now you sit down, you come up with your plan. Once you come up with your plan, and you, like now everything's focused, everything came into a line, right? Boom. Now you just stay on that point and you work to that plan. Now you got your business plan in order. Now you could just go create. You ain't thinking about it because now you've got the plan. Now you creating for that fucking plan. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm creating a material because now I got to feed that plan.
Got to feed the business.
So now I got to create the material. Now once I had the material, now I'm going to go put this in place and execute the plan.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But you've done your research. You know what it takes to make this plan happen. Like, I learned how to mix. I took some classes on mixing. I linked up with somebody who actually makes money selling beats online.
Okay.
Actually makes a lot of money. That's all he does all day is make beats and sell beats online. Linked up with him. Took a class with him to figure out how he does it. Got his whole plan. You know what I'm saying? Spent some money to do it, but you got to spend money to make money.
Absolutely.
Boom. So now I spent money to take the class, spent money to learn how to do this site. So now you got your plan in order. You got your plan of attack. Now the next thing is making the material. Once the material's there, now you can be creative.
Right.
Now you just step over here, and now you got to be able to step away until you got somebody that could come and do this stuff for you. And at that point, you just got to be able to program them
direct
to be the way that you want them to be.
Right.
And it sounds harsh to say program, but it's like, no, you got to do things my way, not your way, because my way is the way I want it. Yeah. It's my company. And if my way works, if you tried your way and it works, then you need them to do your way, not their way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Unless their way actually is a good and you could try it and it works. But you just can't have them not doing your thing and they doing their thing and everything's getting fucked up. So you have to have somebody programmed to you. You know what I'm saying? So, which is training, basically.
Yeah.
But until you have that point, you got to do it yourself. And now it's about, okay, let me try these pieces that are in this course or whatever, how I learned how to do it. Let me try this and figure this out. How do you dial this in the way that they're saying to do it, the way that they did it, and start making some money. And then once it makes money, then you keep on pushing it.
Right.
And I operate with what I call the rule of two. I'm a Star Wars nerd, so it's not the same rule of two from Star Wars. The rule of two for me is this: 1 equals 2, 2 equals 4, 4 equals 8. It always doubles up. And what that means is if you find one person to like your shit, you're going to find two. Because out of everybody, that one person has somebody that's on the same shit that they're on.
Right.
That's just a low number. You're dealing with low percentages. You want 1%, 2% of the population.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's nothing. You take that population, you do the math on that, you find out how many people that is.
It's a lot.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if one person likes your shit, think about it. You know somebody else is on the same shit as you. We sitting here drinking whiskey right now.
Because a lot of people, we all on the same shit.
Right.
You know
So
what
I know you like whiskey. I could bring you a bottle of whiskey. Boom. That's 2 people that like whiskey. So now there's 2 people that's going to buy those 2 bottles right there.
Right.
Because we both like this shit, right? They just got 2 people right there.
Right.
Now, each of us are going to tell somebody else, right? You're going to tell somebody, that doubles up. 2 equals 4.
That's where that word of mouth comes.
Right. So now that it keeps doubling up. 2 equals 4. 4 equals 8. And that's just low numbers. Actually, it's more because you might have 3 or 4 people that you got. You know what I'm saying? But you got to think like that. When you think like that, you're good. Because now all you're trying to do is find your first 2.
That's beautiful.
And once you have your first 2, you ain't worried about it no more. Because now those 2 are going to tell 2 more. And then those 4 are going to tell 2 more each. That's 8. Because every time you get something new, you want to put somebody on. Yo, I got this new hot shit. So as soon as I put you on, you going to go put your man on. Then your man going to want to put somebody else on.
Right.
But he always going to be 2 more people. It's always going to be 2 more people. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to at least double.
It's going to double.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it. So that's how I operate. That's how I look at it. So when you look at it like that, you just got to come up. So I had to look at it like that, and now it's trying all this other shit, spent a lot of money. People, oh, you ain't dropped. I've been dropping. I've been putting money. I did everything that everybody said you should do then, just listening to what people say that you should do. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, no, how can I do this myself? What can I do to do this myself? Because I'm watching somebody that's doing it theyself, and I'm seeing what they doing. I'm seeing how they are doing what they love to do, and they're getting paid from doing just that. Not like me, who's running a business that I don't fucking want to do no more and don't love doing. And what I love doing, I want to just figure out how to make money so I can do that. So I'm seeing somebody doing what I already want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing how they doing it. And it's like, yo, I love doing all that too. Like, I don't just love one aspect of this. Like, I love the creativeness of mixing some shit down and making it happen. I love the creativeness of making a beat. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a different thing. I love creating music. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, okay, I come up with music here and there. I've been in a beat zone, right? Because I'm trying to get this together for this plan. Right. Once that plan's in order and that shit starts going, now I can just do what I want. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I don't want to, it goes back to being a tree in the woods with people around. I want people around. My music is fucking good enough for everybody to hear, and it should be selling. And I'm tired of hearing people tell me that, and I'm tired of knowing that, and it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, same thing, like, you know, you go, I know you go through the same thing with the movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got stuff that people need to see, and the world needs to see, well, you got to get it to them. And once they get it, they're not going to be able to live without it. And now you're going to be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do.
How you want to do and all of that.
You know what I mean? And you're living your dreams, you're loving what you're doing, and you're accomplishing your goals.
Right. I think, you know, I appreciate that perspective. You know, talking about art and business, you know, it's kind of like you said, okay, this is the business plan, and I need the art to feed this business plan, right? I've been an artist way before I ever got into business. You know what I'm saying? Before I was a filmmaker, I was a music video director. Before I was a music video director, I was a hip hop artist. I was a producer. Before I was a hip hop artist and producer, I was a DJ. And before that, I was just doing karaoke stuff with my friends. You know, we had this little makeshift studio in my apartment in Sunset Heights in Burlington, and you know, all my friends would come over and we would make records. You know what I'm saying? So we was artists way before we even thought about like making money off of it. You know what I'm saying? But then you get into the business aspect, and then again, this side of it, you're making your art. On this side of it, you got your numbers. You got your business numbers, all right? It got to make sense and all of this other stuff. And you said that you kind of like, okay, I come up with a business plan first, and then I feed the art through that, right? I think that was like when I really started doing films. I mean, I've been doing films for a long time. I started out with a feature film, then I scaled back and started doing short films. Again, because of just to hone on my skills, just to really understand the craft. Then I got back into feature films, and it became about making money. And I think up until that point, your artist is about as raw as he can get, because you're not thinking about any other noise, right? You're not really thinking about the audience. You're not really thinking about the business. You're not thinking about the money or any of those things. It's literally like, all I care about is the art, and hopefully I can find an audience within that space. But then you get into the business aspect where you start spending money, making money. Spending money, making money, right? So it's profit, loss. And then you get to a space where it's like the focus on the art starts to shift a little bit into the business, which is a natural thing.
That's the mistake.
And speak on that, because you get into a space where it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing artistically, but I also have to make money. You spending stuff, you know. When do you like? What percentage? How do you know what to focus on, which side? Because you could have a business plan. If you have a business plan first, now you're trying to fit the art into this business plan, right? Or you have the art, which I've done up until this point, where you have this art, you have this music, or you have these films, and you say, okay, I've made this piece. Now let me go find the audience. Now let me go figure out the business aspect. Like, And sometimes at that particular time, or the audience, or the space that you had, or the audience that you've had, they may not want to see this particular thing. So what do you do in that standpoint?
So, okay. The tricky part is, again, being able to separate yourself. Okay, you have to be able to keep it a buck with yourself and do what you love to do. Mm-hmm. Now, you also have to understand why things don't hit. Okay, it doesn't always hit because it wasn't good. If you look at your shit and you know it's good, you know it was good. It just didn't hit because they didn't want to see it right now, which means they're gonna want to see it later. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or you've reached a point where now people want to hate you. Right? Because you're going to have a certain level of success. Mm-hmm. When you're on that come up, everybody wants to root for you for the underdog, and you get your core fans. When you have your core fans at that point, that's who you pay attention to. They're the ones who's always going to love you no matter what. You're going to achieve superstardom at some point, right? If you choose, everybody, look at 50 Cent, core fans. Look at Prince, core fans. Hits big, Purple Rain, everything else has that run, right? Then, he's not doing what the company wants him to do. Boom, 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 he goes away. But he never goes away. His core fans are still supporting him, and that's his group. And then up until he died, he's still touring. Yeah. Selling out, making money. You know what I'm saying? His core fans. Once you have your core fans, remember, you're feeding your fans. Once you have your group, that's who you're feeding. Mm-hmm. You're going to have all these other people that come in because it's the cool thing to do. Mm-hmm. But as long as that core, and you look at that core number, you got to have your baseline number. This is what I got to make. Yes, if you're trying to achieve $1 billion box office, and you spend $800 million, and you don't get the $1 billion, you lost. If you made 400, you lost, right? Because you was chasing that. But as long as you keep doing, and that's gonna happen because you chasing that. Right. Once you start off chasing what you love, right? What you want to see, what you want to hear. You just keep making that. Yeah. As long as you keep making that, people are gonna want to hear it. Your people that fuck with you, that's your audience, is always gonna want to see and hear what you want to do. Right. Because they're on what you want to do. When you start chasing money and you start doing things to make money, you're not doing art no more. You're doing shit to make money. It's not authentic. That's why it's not raw no more. Look at Jay-Z, right? Pac always sounded like he was doing his first record, always doing the music he wanted to do, right? You use him because he had a body of work. Right? Big had a couple joints, you know what I mean? Then was killed untimely, right? Jay, you watched him drop, right? You watched Jay do this, just what we talking about. Reasonable Doubt came out. Boom, nigga hit. Had his core audience. Puffy, all these niggas is hitting at the time. He chases the money. He drops his second album. He's in the shiny suits. He's doing everything Puffy and everybody else is doing. Niggas hated him for that shit, right? Shit didn't do what he wanted it to do. And he knows that, and he's been on record of saying that shit. Then he went back, got away from that, went back to what he does, and he records every album like it's his first. And ever since then, he's been on a run that hasn't stopped. And he does the music he wants to do. And for a while, he did what he did that way, and now he wants to make the conscious shit. So now he's doing that, right? His core group of fans is still fucking with him. You know what I mean? He's doing the music he wants to do, but he's always done that ever since that second album flopped, right? He's making the music he wants to make. The business is going to take care of itself. Business is simple. Business is like war, right? And I don't care if you look at a drug dealer, right? Let's take a look at a drug dealer. Everybody gets into something for the fun side of it, right? Music, you create. Art, you create. You just want to create and be an artist. That's it, right? You got to worry about the business. A drug dealer, what do they want to do? They ain't worried about the business of selling drugs. They want to get sneakers. You want to get that car. That's what you hustling for. Along the lines, you learn that you got to pay attention to the business of this shit to do that. It becomes about the business of drugs. You get into the business of it, right? Everything, when you're dealing with money, you have to get into the business and pay attention to the business, right? But you still are chasing the reason that you got into it, right? You want to the love, yeah. But that's that. But like the love of, this is why I'm doing this. Whether you chasing that high or you chasing the high from creating, because we are chasing the high creating.
Whatever,
you know what I mean? And you're chasing that love. You know what I mean? Of making the project that you want to make your audience, right? So as long as you do that and you stay true to that, now the business side, like I said, is simple. Business is like war. Okay? When you're at war, you're looking at a plan of attack.
Right.
Right? And you're trying things out to see if they work. You push your forces, it's like playing chess. You push your forces up, that didn't work. I come back, I regroup. This attack didn't work. I come back, I regroup. But you have a baseline of attacks that you can do. That's what your business plan is. And you know, out of all of these attacks, something's got to work. You done your homework. If you didn't do your homework, you're just throwing fucking darts at a board, right? So you don't know that nothing's going to work. You're spending money. But when you done your homework, like we was talking about the homework that we both done, right? And you know these certain things should work. You know these certain things work. This is your plan of attack because this work, this work, this work, this work, and this is what is working. So now you're trying these different plans of attack. You're seeing what works for you. You're seeing what's going to work for what you're trying to do to find your niche group, your fan base, or whatever. And once something starts working, you keep pressing that attack. It's all about coming up with your plan and finding out which attack is working.
Right.
But achieving the business is war. It's you're at war with the public and trying to get them and win them over and win the war of getting them to give you their money, right?
Right.
But that is not the same as the art. Okay?
So
the art is your weapon. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I need you to come get this. This is the crown jewel. So the attack is this is the plan to get you to come here. This ad campaign, this marketing campaign, this look. You know, okay, you got the podcast.
Right.
The attack is this. I'm going to put these clips out. You're going to see these clips, these little hot nuggets of what's going to get, I want to tune in and see that. Mm-hmm. That's your attack. You're finding out you got 20 clips.
Right.
You're finding out which of those 20 clips is going to be the one to make people come in. That's your plan of attack. You're throwing 20 attacks, 20 clips out there. Mm-hmm. That's the business. The art is already done. Mm-hmm. The art is good. People want to come hear this. You got to find people that want to listen to this, right? You're taking that attack and then boom, 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 boom. And then people come and want to hear the authentic shit. What happens is you have your fan base.
Right.
You grew your fan base doing what you want to hear or you want to see.
What you want to do, how you
know what I mean? What you want to tune into, right? You grew your fan base like that. Now your fan base is here and they're like, okay, this is what you doing, what we want. This is what we've been looking for. Now you like, I got to make $1 million.
Right.
So now I'm going to do that movie I didn't want to see.
Right.
I'm going to do that type of music I didn't want to hear because that's what's selling right now. That's what's hitting. This is why you lost. Because it's not authentic to you. Mm-hmm. And your fan base don't want to hear that shit. They came to get away from that and now you're doing it. Now you lost them. You can win them back sometimes, but when you lose those people, there's always some people that aren't going to come back to you.
Oh, yeah,
so as long as you keep doing what you do, you good. Maybe this just wasn't here for them. Who knows? Maybe they was hit on the financial tip. But when you look at that core group, if you got 50,000 people, right? And 50,000 people supported you, right? And you was chasing 200,000. So the other 150,000 didn't support you. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's not a failure. The 50,000 that's been supporting you still supported you. So you winning. Right. You just chased 150,000 didn't want to fuck with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now you lost there because you was chasing them. It's not authentic. You want to grow to 200,000 authentic people, not chasing 150,000 people that don't fuck with you when you got 50,000 people that do.
So let me...
If you get what I'm saying.
No, I get it 100%. 100%. That's a beautiful, beautiful breakdown. I think it's a two-part thing that I'm trying to get a little more conversation on is, okay, you have... What's up? What I want to talk about? Okay, it's a two-part thing. One, you have the art and you have the business. You might have an artist who can't really see the business like that, right? They just too focused on artistry. Is it good for that person to pair up with a full focus businessman? And two, what happens when you are an artist and you're making 100,000, but now you want to get to that 200, you want to get to that million? Or you making $250,000, right? You're doing that a year, whether it's off the films, whether it's off the music, whatever the case may be. But you know you want to grow into $1 million, right? What do you say to that person that okay, you're trying to grow organically or whatever the case may be, but this person knows that this got me to 250. But I know if I just shifted a little bit, come over here and do a little more what seems to be what the audience is looking for at this particular time to get me to that million, you suggest that this person do that, or do you just have to wait it out? Because sometimes you want to be a great artist, but you also want to do good business. I don't think any great artist want to be broke.
Everything is about patience. What got you to that point? You started off from nothing.
Right.
And you got people paying attention to you. You lost sight of that. You know what I'm saying? Like you lost sight. Like right now, I got nobody in the woods. If I get 50,000 people in the woods, I had nobody. So now it's a confidence of knowing I got 50,000 people from nothing. Why does that have to change? I got 50,000 people from nothing. Why can't I turn 50 into 100? Because I turned nothing into 50.
Right.
You stop operating like that. Now you start chasing. You can't come off of your plan that worked. You have to just keep feeding the plan that worked, because you still have to work with the same rule of two.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you keep working in that rule of two, what happens is you stop going to that well because that well wasn't going fast enough for you. Now you want this, so now you're chasing this well over here. When you did that and you went less authentic, you lost people over here. You got to be willing to lose, and when you lose, you might not get them back, because these new people, they're a fad. Mm-hmm. They're coming to you because you're the hot new thing that somebody told them they should like. They're not fucking with you like that. Right. So now you're going to lose them, and you're going to try and come back to them, and they're going to be like, yo, you abandoned us last time. How we know you ain't going to do that again? People got to trust you.
Yeah.
As your fan base, like when you deal with art, people connect to you on a deep level. It's almost like they know you even when they don't. Look at how people get for celebrities. Mm-hmm. Look at how people get for people that they fans of, right? It's called fans because you get fanatic. That's why Prince used to say, I don't like to call you fans. I like to call you family, because I feel like it's an insult. Right. I'm calling you a fanatic, which isn't a good thing. Right? Because they get fanatic about you. It's like a craziness, right? Mm-hmm. But they feel like they know you. They feel like they're in tune with you. They're in touch with you. It's a trust there. I trust that I came to you for this material, and you're going to keep giving me the material I want to see. Right. I don't want to see that shit over there. That's why I came to you. I could have gone over there. But I came to you because you gave me something different. You gave me something different for X amount of projects, and now you want to switch up on me? Because I don't care who it is. You're building up. I think I saw L.A. Russell or something the other day saying he did like, I forget how many it was, but like 20, 30 joints or some shit like that before he started hitting. Don't quote me on that, I forget. But it was a lot. So that means people have been riding with him until he hit to a point. Now if he switches up now and goes over here chasing Drake's people, right? And now he's doing something that ain't what's real to him. You know, I think it was L.A. Russell the other day. He said he had like 20, 30 joints, something like that before he hit. Don't quote me on that. He said he's just starting to hit now. And he was talking about how many he put out, right? So that means you got people that's been riding with you for that long. If he switches up now and goes to chase, like, let's say Drake's audience, they're not going to fuck with him because like, yo, I came to you for this. Right. You know what I'm saying? And now you doing that. That's not why I came here. I could have gone there for that. I didn't want that. I wanted what you was giving me. So it's like a betrayal. It's like if you got your family that's supporting you all these years, boom, they holding you up. You hit, if you say, hey, I ain't answering your calls no more, nothing. Now if you hit a bad patch and you fall off and you need to come back home, they might, and fuck you. I don't want to fuck with you no more, because the next time you hit, you're going to do the same thing. Right. You're going to give us your ass to kiss just like you did before. You can never betray that trust with your fan base. You know what I mean? You just got to be patient. You got to understand, like, yo, this is a slow burn. The reason why, understanding the business, that person's hitting is because they got this behind them, this and that behind them. Drake didn't start off at the fan base he had. You know what I mean? He started off with the mixtapes, boom, hooked up with Wayne, and he slow burned up to that point. You know what I'm saying? All these artists that you're chasing, they slow burn up to that point. And the machine that they have behind them is going to put them to that level. You got to understand what your machine is. Your machine is only going to take you so far. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a fucking $1 billion machine behind you and you trying to build it on your own, you're going to have to build up to $1 billion machine. You got to catch up. But if you go with that $1 billion machine right away, you're going to have to sacrifice some shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is going to be your artistic side and what you want to do. You know, you look at Prince. Again, Prince was the first person who was doing internet stuff. People don't really realize that. Right. When he was walking around with Slave, stopped fucking with Warner Brothers, he had his own site. And I kick myself in the ass now back in the day for not paying to join this shit, where you could join and you would get exclusive material, exclusive joints, the shows, all that stuff, and he was doing everything
like
on the line.
Yeah, like Patreon before Patreon.
For everybody, he had his own site, and you would have to come to him to get his new stuff,
right.
and some of the vault stuff and all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he was ahead of that, but he was committed. It's like, yo, I'm gonna just feed my audience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had Warner Brothers. This is what it got me. I don't have my masters. I don't have my material. This is my stuff.
Right.
When you're independent, you have your stuff. Look at what Megan Thee Stallion just signed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she's the first one to do something like that. She has her stuff. But when you're independent, it's going to be that slow burn. But that slow burn is what you set out for. That slow burn is what got you here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep focused on that plan of the rule of two. And you can't sell your that's what selling out is when you say fuck you to everybody else and you do something to make the money, and those people aren't going to stick with you because they're only there for the moment. These people are here for the long run. So just keep feeding them and figure out how to take this money and keep dumping it into this group of people that you've been curating all of this time. You know what I'm saying? And if you're the artist, to answer that doesn't care about business, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to make money selling your music or your movies or whatever? Just put that shit out and don't give a fuck what it does. If it hits, it hits. If it don't, it don't. It's just for you and whoever you got watching it with you. But the minute you want to make money, you better educate yourself on business. If you're not going to educate yourself on business and you're just going to hook up with a businessman that does business, when you hook up with that businessman, give him a big jar of Vaseline and say, please use this because he's going to fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know.
Right, how's it going to go?
Yeah.
So you don't think it's advisable for an artist who's focused on the art to connect with a person that's focused on the business?
You have to educate yourself. I don't care what it is. When you want to deal with something, you have to be responsible enough to educate yourself on what you're going to put your time and money into. Whatever it is. You have to know just enough to not get fucked.
Right.
That's what I say. You have to know rudimentary enough to not get fucked. If you're a drug dealer and you go deal with those Colombians, you have to know enough Spanish to know when them niggas say, take this nigga out back and blow his head off.
Yeah.
Go kill his family. You don't have to know nothing else past that.
Yeah.
Give him the fake shit. You have to have a rudimentary knowledge
to understand
of enough to not get fucked. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? You have to know enough so that you can't get screwed. You don't have to know everything. It might not interest you, but you have to know enough that you could put somebody in place that is their interest. You got an internet nerd or whatever that can just get in there and do all the internet stuff and sit online all day because that's what they love to do. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you can sit over here and create. But you have to know enough that if he starts fucking up something, that shouldn't be like that. Like we're losing money because it's the fundamental. Because no matter what it is, I don't care how advanced something gets, right? Mm-hmm. I don't care how advanced something gets. Everything comes down to fundamentals. I do martial arts. Your basic moves is 1, 2, boom, 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 punch, punch, block, block, boom. And then you get all these other complicated moves. But there's the fundamentals in it. If your foundation, your fundamental ain't good, then you ain't going nowhere. If you put shit on top of shit, you're just going to have a shitty foundation that's going to crumble. You have to have a solid foundation, and you can build on that. Same thing applies with your knowledge. Your solid foundation is your knowledge, your basic fundamental knowledge of what you're getting into, because everything comes down to the fundamentals. There's going to be all these complex things that come involved on top of it, but there's a rudimentary fundamental process of it that you can't get away from.
Right.
And as long as you know the fundamentals, everything revolves around the fundamentals. You start a beat, it starts off with a kick, snare. That controls the whole beat. I don't care what you put on top of it, but once you know how that kick and snare works,
it's the foundation.
You start off doing movies.
You got to know the foundation.
Right. You got the scripts, you record, you hit record on that button.
Yeah.
You can work any camera because you know the fundamentals. The record button is the play button. Yeah, this one's more intricate than that one. This program is more intricate than that one, but I see the fundamental because there's a fundamental process.
Right.
So in business, it's the same way. When you go to get into something, you have to have a fundamental knowledge of what you're getting into so that you can't get screwed. If you don't, you're going to get fucked. Right. I just told my girl before I left, right? I'm like, she's like, her family, we need a man around. You don't need a man around. You need to, when it comes to working on cars, all that stuff, you need to educate yourself. You need to know how this works and how this gets fixed and how this can get fixed. And information's out there now. And there's no excuse now with the internet. You can Google everything. There, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You just got to educate yourself. There's bad information out there, but you got to weed through it and find the good information, right? Once you have that, when you go somewhere, because they're going to try and fuck you because they think you don't know the fundamentals.
100%.
Now, once they try to fuck you not knowing the fundamentals and you say, yo, that shouldn't be like this. It should be this much and da-da-da-da-da-da. And you show you know a little bit, that makes it sound like you know a lot. Because they're like, yo, now they scared because they know they was trying to screw you. So now it's like, oh, wait. They know, oh, now they're going to, like I was telling her, now somebody tries to screw you on a car repair. If somebody tries to screw you on a car repair and they come back after you say, like, no, I know it should be this way, I should be that way.
Right.
Then they're like, oh, we can't get you. Now, since you're a woman, they're going to try and go over and above and beyond because they want you to know that you could trust them. Right. Because they know they fucked up and you caught them.
Right.
Right? So, again, it comes down to knowing fundamentals. Now they're not going to try and do it again unless they get real close and know you don't know shit, but that's where you don't let your left know what your right's thinking. You don't get but so close.
Right. So regardless, it's like, I got to know a little bit about something.
Right. And once you, not to cut you off, but once you show that person that's trying to screw you, because a person that's trying to screw you, yes, they're conniving and all that shit, but a lot of times they're always scared and they don't want to get caught. They're always scared to get caught. So the fact that you caught them one time, they don't know how much you're going to educate yourself going further. They don't want to get caught again. So they're going to get really good and you're going to get really lazy on trying to know, or most of the times they're going to get scared and not try it again because they don't want to risk getting caught. Your whole business is pulling the wool over somebody.
Right.
You're not going to risk getting caught by somebody that you and blow your whole spot up. Right. You're going to operate nice with them and go to somebody you can't get over on. Because this person caught you once. Who knows what they might educate this. If they educate themselves on this later and they catch you on this later, now you screwed. Now they're going to come down on you 10 times harder because it's the second or third time they caught you. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's all about having just enough knowledge to not get fucked.
If an artist had the opportunity to stay independent or go major, what would you suggest? Artist or major? I mean, independent or major?
Depends what you want. If you want freedom, you want to do what you want to do, you want to make the material that you want to make,
right?
Be independent. You're your own boss. You got it this far. You can get it further. Yes, it's not going to be the millions that this one's making, but a lot of times what you don't realize is being independent, you're probably making more than the artist that you're chasing because they got to answer and they got to cut all those people in.
Right.
This is all coming to you and your people. You're making 100% of your profits and they making, what, a point system? 10%, 3%, 2%? You know what I'm saying? How many times do you hear artists that got fucked? Snoop was just talking about this shit because they don't know the business. How many times you hear artists that get screwed over? You know what I mean? Yes, the company's putting a lot of money behind you and they got to recoup it.
Right.
They paying for all them nights you sitting in the studio, spending all that money, eating all that food, having all them engineers and all that shit.
They taking that back.
Yeah.
When you get your cut.
You sitting in the audience. You sitting in the studio for 10 hours. You recorded for 1.
Yeah.
What you do for the 9? You party. Oh, we in here. Just flicked it up for the gram or whatever. That cost. They got to get that money back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I seen my man the other day. He posted, if you independent, you paying $500 for a mix, Adobe Atmos mix, and a regular, or $1,200 if you're a label, I think it is. So you paying $1,200 a joint. You know what I'm saying? So figure if you were spending, let's say you spending $300 an hour on studio time, if you're a major label, right?
Right.
And now you've been in there for 10 hours. That's $3,000. You only recorded 1 song. They got to make $3,000
before you
back from that 1 song, and that's not putting a marketing dollar behind you. So now with that 1 song, they got to recoup the $3,000 from the studio time, whatever else you spent in the studio, eating, smoking, whatever, plus the marketing dollar behind that.
Right.
So where's your money gonna come?
Yeah.
You know, when you independent though, and then you got to do the music they want you to do because they're chasing the dollar. They don't give a fuck about your artistry. So you got to do the movies they want you to do.
So it's all about what you're looking to get out of a situation, and then you align yourself up with that thing, right? So it's like, okay, if it's this Some people just want to be famous. Some people want to be put out there. If you want to focus on having control of your art and stuff like that, then
And
you
your
might want to
direction.
stay independent. You know, the thing about me is like, I mean, my ultimate goal is to have a national release of a film. That's always been my goal for a film to come out. I could call my friends and say, you can go to your local Regal, you can go to the AMC. My film is playing there. That's always been like an ultimate goal for me. But I also like to make films the way that I like to make films, how I like to make films, and when I like to make films. I said I always envied Quentin Tarantino's career because he makes his own films when he wants to make them and in the time frame that he wants to make them, and then he falls back. You know, he's not a director. I mean, it's a gift and a curse from a fan standpoint that, you know, he's not making at least 2 films or 3 films a year. But I love the fact that Quentin Tarantino, he writes his scripts. He goes off to, you know, foreign countries or goes internationally, and, you know, he writes his scripts because he's a writer director like myself. And then he finds a studio, which is usually the same studio that's been working for X amount of years, and then he makes his film, and the way he wants to make them in the time span that he wants to make them, and then he falls back. I think that's a beautiful thing. He doesn't really direct other people's scripts and stuff like that. But everybody doesn't have that luxury. But when it comes to the artistry, you know you're getting like, that's one filmmaker that you know you're getting a very authentic piece, right? Because it's coming mainly from that source, the director, the writer, director, right? When you do a lot of these big budget films, you have a writer, you have a different director, you have a different producer, you have somebody doing lighting. So it's a very collective thing, which again, in that regards, is a special thing, but it's not more of an auteur type of thing, right? It's not really coming from a singular type of point of view outside of like a Quentin Tarantino and some of these other writer directors. So I think ultimately you have to decide what type of system you want to be in, right? I follow this guy, I think it's Reginald Marcus Green, I think his name is. He's actually the new director for the Bob Marley film. He also did the King Richard film with Will Smith. He also did a couple episodes with Top Boy. And the film that kind of like catapulted him into another level was, I think a film he did was called Monsters and Men. It was an independent film that showcased at Sundance, right? Which I'm pretty sure he did that film exactly the way he wanted to do it. Now, you're doing the big Bob Marley film, you're doing the big King Richard film. You have a little leadway, but you know you're answering to a lot of people.
Somebody's got their money involved, and
right?
they want to have their say. That's what they're paying you for.
And like I always say this, like
so they can say, "I did that."
Yeah, and like Dame Dad said, I always talk about this quote: "The person that puts up the money has all the say so." Has all the power. I don't care who the artist is, who the director, who the actor, who the artist. If you putting up the money, you have all the say so. So if you want to control your project, if you want to control your art, I advise you to find a bag and put up your own money.
Yep.
Or if not, you're going to have to answer to somebody else. So it's only going to be but so much authenticity that you could possibly put in something, because again, you're going to have to still answer to somebody.
It's like if I put up the money for you to record the record. You wrote the record, you produced the record, but I recorded the record. If it wouldn't have been for me and my money to get paid for your studio time, you would have never had that piece of material. That is the value. How do I get my money back? You know what I'm saying? So I own that master until you make me my money back, and I understand that part of the business. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't, but it's like, yo, if it wouldn't have been for my money, you wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
So that's where am I getting my money back? That's my investment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. I'm not giving you money. I'm investing in you. Yeah. This is my investment. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have it. So I got to get that back, right? That's why I own that master.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to do what I say to get me my money back. And then after that, we can talk.
We can figure it out from there.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like...
That's a good point.
And well, go ahead.
I'll let you finish. And then
I want to say about Quentin, right? So Quentin, you know there's a quote that he's been saying lately too, right? It's been going around where he said he went to Harvey. I forget what movie it was, but he wanted to spend like $1 million for this one piece.
Yeah, I talk about this quote all the time.
And he's like, is it going to make me money?
Yeah.
Is it going to make the
I
film
talked about this a
better?
lot.
Is it going to make a difference to make money? Then you ain't getting it.
Yeah.
Right? So even he had to answer to a point. But he only wants to do 10. I think it's 10 and he's done. And then he wants to start directing other people's stuff here and there and picking what he wants to do.
He's doing books. He's doing everything. I mean,
but think about how many times he had to say no to something. Being Quentin Tarantino. Going back to what we were saying about the discipline, about growing the fan base, about chasing that money, right? He's happy. You got to be happy with your success. What's your level of success and what's going to make you happy? That's the question you got to answer before you get started. Because that's what's going to determine everything. Quentin Tarantino is happy with this baseline. Right? Whatever it is, this is his point. Wow. So that gives him the ability to say, no, you think that all these people, Marvel, Disney, all these people weren't coming at him to do big budget movies with what he's making? You know how many times that man said no? You know what I'm saying? He said no a lot and turned down a lot of money. If he sat down and probably told everybody the money he turned down, he'd be like, are you crazy? Right?
Yeah,
but he didn't want that. He wanted to be doing what he's doing.
He always had this quote. He says, it's funny. He said, I don't want to do your stupid movie. I want to do my stupid movie.
Right. I seen that. I heard that.
He said like, on Stern, I think. Regardless of how you feel about my art, how I feel about your art, you might think my movies suck. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'd rather do my sucky movies than do your sucky movies.
Right.
And somebody that does a lot of his own work and does a lot of aspects of his own work, like I kind of understood that, where sometimes you just kind of wonder, like, you just want to be in your own sandbox. You want to design your own castle. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But it's your piece, right? You feel good about it. You want to work with who you want to work with. You want to do your own thing. And I get that. I think I've always been in that space where it's like I love the collaborative aspect of artwork, of art. But I also kind of like to just kind of like, this is my vision and this is how I want to see it through. And I don't really want to compromise. You know what I mean? I'm all good. I'm all for good suggestions. I'm always for good ideas. But I also have an idea of how I want to put something together. And I kind of just want to see it through. And I'm cool. If it's good, I'm cool if it's bad. Right? I'll take all the flack if it's bad. I take all the praise if it's good. But sometimes you just don't want too many hands in your cookie jar. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And not the cookie jar as far as money, but just your ideas. Like sometimes you just have this thing, like you have this vision and you just want to see it through. And you're okay with whether it's good or bad. You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at Quentin Tarantino in that aspect because, you know, I think he had a couple scripts before that people have took him. Like I think it was True Romance and something else that he had a script. He sold it. They took it. They changed it around. He didn't like that. Mm-hmm. He said, listen, if you're going to do a Quentin Tarantino script, then you better do the full shit on. All right? Don't switch my shit up. So he was like, yo, take my name off of it. He got like some story credits, but he got taken off some writing credits because he didn't like what they did to it. He was like, yo, this ain't a Quentin Tarantino script no more. And some people might look at that as arrogant or cocky, but it's just kind of just like, you know, I got a vision and this is it. If you don't want to do this, this is me. Right? This is what I'm bringing to the table. This is my script. If you don't want to do this full on for what it is, then go do somebody else's. And I can respect that. You know what I mean? So,
because your name, you have to understand, like, it's your name. And your name is your brand, is your commodity, is your value.
100%.
If that gets tarnished, nobody's going to know the person behind you. They only going to know you.
Yeah.
So you have to respect you. If you don't respect you, again, how you going to expect anybody else to? So if you don't respect your name and protect your name, that's what he was doing in that case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
You to me, my thing that I want, I'm not looking to sign with a major. I'm looking to partner with them. I'm looking at, like, you come to me and you want to be part, like Cash Money did. You want to be part of what you got going on. So this is how we could work together. And at the end of the day, you're going to put this money up. You're going to make this much back. I'm going to maintain the ownership of all mine because I'm taking the same kind of risk you are.
Right.
I'm keeping my ownership, so you're not footing the whole bill. You're just going to help me with this aspect because it's going to be a quick flip for you. Right. You're going to put up this. We're going to flip it here, do this. You make this money back. You make this profit. That's it. If we can't do that,
F it.
I ain't trying to give you no ownership or nothing. You know what I mean? You want to hire me to do something for you.
That's different.
Then you could pay me to do a job. I'll come and I'll do it for you. You pay me to do my job and I'm leaving.
Right.
You got that. That's what you paid for, and that's going to come with a certain fee.
Right.
But If you want to sit here and be part of what I got going on,
that's a different conversation.
It's a different thing because I'm putting in this time. Because here's the thing. I came to you before you didn't want to fuck with me. You told me go prove myself. Prove that it's worth your money. Now I proved that it's worth my money or worth your money, but I made my money. I don't need you no more.
Right.
You know, it's like when everybody's coming at Hammer back in the day. He's like, yo, I don't need you. I'm selling this much out of my trunk. What can you offer me?
Right.
I need a bigger deal than that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's when you have your buying power, yo. It's like, yo, nah, I need this.
Right.
Because I'm already making what you trying to give me. I don't need you for that. I'm doing this alone. So what are you going to do to advance me? You told me to do this on my own. Now I did it.
Right.
I found I don't need you. Now you want to be part of my show because you see it's beneficial to you. So now, how are we both going to make money and walk away happy? I'm not giving up ownership.
Respect.
I'm not doing what you want to do because this was working for me. And this is why you want to be here. And now you have power. Now you have control. Now you keep what's yours. That's the only way I would say. If you want to keep your shit and your respect and protect your name, and that's the only way you should work with a major if you're independent. You know what I mean? If you just walked off the stoop, boom, you caught a major deal, now you're getting 360, which means you're getting fucked all around. Hey, that's one thing because they got to groom you and make you and do all that shit, which they don't really like to do no more. So they're eating your merch and everything. But when you've grown yourself and you got your fan base, if you want to protect that and everything that we talked about earlier, then the only way you should look at hooking up with a major at that point is through a partnership.
Right.
If it's not a partnership,
then
fuck
you.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, man. This was a beautiful
We
conversation, man. We got to keep this thing going. It's been
Thanks
a
for having
pleasure
me.
talking to you, man. Like a lot of insight, a lot of jewels, and it's been beautiful, man. I think a lot of people can be able to take this information and apply it to their careers and artistry and all of that stuff. So again, thank you, my brother 101 the Great, from coming on.
Appreciate you having
giving
me.
This shit, and all you want to do is close it out, man. Close out the show with a words of wisdom. What would you want to give any artist, anybody that's in the entertainment business, any type of words of wisdom? And we're gonna clock out of this motherfucker, man.
I don't want to close it out like that, if you don't mind, just because I feel like they need to, you know, if they didn't get it in this, what we talked about, they ain't gonna get it.
Go get it.
We've been talking about doing this for a long time,
right?
For these reasons that we drop these jewels, we have these conversations, and we definitely need to do good. And what I want to close out by saying is this. Since I walked in here, I wanted to say this. Right. You came to my studio, and I remember you were saying when you grabbed me the other day, like, yo, my studio makes you want to just create music, which is what I was going for. Again, going back to that thought and 100%. Having it. This room right here, you said you redid it, and it's funny because that's the futon I was thinking about getting for the studio, but I'm not no more for, you know, because of how I got things set up in there now with space. But this room makes me want to sit in here
and talk
and write a movie.
Really?
And edit a movie.
Nice.
That's how I feel. When I first walked in here, I'm like, I'm ready to sit down and write a movie.
Yeah.
And edit a movie in here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I looked over here, I'm like, I'm ready to sit down and have a conversation. And go over here and edit a movie and write a movie. You know what I mean? You in this space, you have so much accomplished in this space, yo.
Oh, that's dope.
It's just like, yo, it's inspiring.
Oh, that's dope.
You know what I mean? To like do something.
That's what I've been looking for, you know, some place to edit in peace. Be able to have a conversation like we doing with a podcast, be able to write films, and just have grown man conversations, and, you know, be able to watch a film and critique it and study it and stuff like that. So the fact that you're the second person that's been in this room outside of my woman and the youngins that said they felt that same thing. So that's dope. Because I feel the same way, but it's dope when other people come in here and they feel the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to curate spaces to make yourself feel comfortable, inspired to do work. You know what I'm saying? Because you can have all the desire in the world, but I'm big on energy. You got to find spaces, things, opportunities to want to do work and and create and figure things out. You know what I mean? So when I come in here, I'm ready to edit. When I set the mics up, I'm ready to have a good conversation. When I'm sitting here on my couch, might have a glass of whiskey or some bourbon. I might want to do that, watch a movie and write, or I might want to just cut everything off, have a glass of tea, and write a film. And this little space is not big, but it just gave me the opportunity to be able to do that, and it just feels good, and I've been creating a lot.
Everything you said is exactly what I want to do sitting in this room. You can sit down, watch a movie like, hey, you just said that. I'm like, yo, that's a good show. Sit down, watch a movie and critique the shit while we watch the shit. You know what I'm saying? It's another cast.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's what you just want to sit here, watch something, and then go be inspired and create.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have a conversation, whatever. It's
That's what it's
definitely you
about.
accomplished that with this
Oh, that's
space.
dope, man.
And
So
I
you heard it.
appreciate you for having me over here, yo.
Oh man, thank you, man. This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to do this for a
Yeah,
minute, and
yeah.
a straight, always great conversation. One of the great minds of friends that I have, man, and I'm glad that we connected. I'm glad to be a part of your world. I'm glad you to have me. Glad to have you a part of my world. From making films to doing music. You open up your studio to me. That means a lot to me. You came on my sets and created great work on set with characters and all of that stuff. And it's just the beginning. That's the funny thing about it. This is really all the beginning to what we doing, and I can only see great things from that. So let's keep it going. Let's keep motivating each other, inspiring each other, pushing each other, and holding each other accountable. That's a big thing too, because you can have friends, but they don't push you to that next level. And we always talk about that. We can talk shit, we can shoot the breeze and all that, but when we get together, we always talking about how we pushing the culture forward, right? What we doing next, what you doing, what I'm doing, and how can we help each other do what we do. And since I've had you in my life, we actually been pushing things forward on a lot of different occasions. So I just want to say thank you for that. Let's keep this thing going,
Yeah,
and
always. You do
hopefully,
the same for me. Like I said, you got me writing my own script. You inspired me to do that, and it's like, and I just appreciate you. I said it to you many times. But I'm saying it on the record. I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to be in your films and believing that I could do it. And trusting me with that. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously you saw something that
Absolutely.
I mean. I knew I always wanted to do it, but I wasn't like. And you
Locked
called
in.
me up. I was like, and now it's like, man,
I'm locked in.
I love that shit.
I'm locked in. So yeah, man. So we got a film coming out, Carmen.
Yes, yes.
It's an amazing piece. I'm super excited about this project. Got my brother 101, who's one of the co-stars of the film, Alexandra, who was the lead of the film. I'm the writer and director. We just wrapped up production. It's going into post, and it's going to be coming out soon. So stay tuned to that. We have a lot of great projects coming out this year, from music to films to good podcast episodes, and just we doing anything from books, everything, man. We doing it all, man. So stay tuned. And right now I need you to go to Tubi right now, like right after I wrap this up. I need you to go to Tubi, type in Maurice Paramore, and you'll see all the projects that I have on Tubi, from Ambition to Kodak to The Recession to Freestyle Love, all of that. So go to Tubi, go to Peacock, type in Maurice Paramore, watch all my films, like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.